everyone. Welcome to episode number 3. Today, I'm joined by Peter and Nishant, and we are going to talk about how to break into product management from a technical background. I'm joined here with Peter, but first off, let's start with a quick round of introductions. As all of you know by now, if not, my name is Shruti. I'm a product manager at Snowflake. I am partnering with Nishant, who will go next in terms of introduction.
Hey, I am a product manager at Walmart. I manage the Walmart ad tech products. And you have heard enough about Shruti and I by now. So, Peter, off to you.
Thank you, guys, and it's a pleasure to join you today on the podcast. And my name is Peter, and I'm a product manager working for Progress Software. We are developing. I'm working on a product which is a digital experience platform. Think about when you want to build your digital experience, like websites, portals, and going beyond. Our platform it's used by marketers and developers for such purposes.
Got it. And just for the context, Peter, can you tell us a little bit more about like the kind of people that you typically deal with, and also what kind of products are you launching on a monthly, quarterly, daily basis?
Yeah, those are good questions, Nishan. Thank you. So the primary personas for our products are marketers who are building the web experiences, and also the developers who are developing different integrations between different systems. Think about like CRM systems or marketing automation tools, where you need to create like a big flow of leads and all of that stuff where there is complexity. We're not talking about simple websites or some kind of brochure stuff. We target like enterprise customers, etc. So my daily base interactions are mostly with developers, because some of my focuses are on the developer persona, and also partners who are using our software to build those type of experiences.
Amazing, amazing. That sounds great, Peter. It feels like you're targeting like a very technical persona set. Uh, I guess your background must have been helpful because you come from developer background. But that is my next question. I would love to know how did you break into product management, and more than that, like now that you look back into your journey, is this everything that you expected out of product management?
Yeah, though it was quite a journey. To be honest, I had some opportunities. First, I started as a developer. I've been my education is engineering, so I've been following the path of developer. Like I've been a regular developer. After this, I've been even managing a team of 14 people with engineers, QS, and support engineers. So it was quite diverse in terms of responsibilities and what I had to learn to grow through my technical background, etc. But I always been curious about, hey, how the business is working, how actually the other pieces of the whole development cycle work together. Because when you are working as an engineer, sometimes you think, hey, we are the best. We can do it without product managers. We can do it without marketing, without sales, right? We own the world. But I've always been fascinated. Okay, how you put everything together to make a successful product. So I've been targeting those type of positions, and I went to a couple of stages. Uh, I had an opportunity to work as a technology evangelist and or so-called developer advocates. And this actually, there was a coincidence in a live event for me. I moved to the US, and the company that I'm working, they offered me this position. So I saw a lot of people transition from developer advocates, because it's some kind of like a stepping stone, to a product management. And I said, okay, that's a very good opportunity for me. I'll try it. I'll see how it goes. And after this, I always wanted to express my interest into the product management. So after that position, I actually became a product manager.
Did you also interact with product managements during your life cycle, and that's what interested you into product management? Like, did you get a chance to, like, for example, shadow product manager? Like, I'm trying to understand where you did you know what you're getting into? A lot of times, people don't know what they're getting into.
Yeah. So I've been some of my mentors actually, even into the developer advocate positions, they were product managers, because there was a big strategy around the product. We needed to to do a big role on it, and that's why we need to work all together. So as a technology evangelist, I need to be like the bridge between community and also the product people and marketing. So I've been kind of in the middle, and I need to understand a lot how everything works. So after this, I had a transition to become, when I became a product manager. My first task was related to develop a plugin for Visual Studio, and it was kind of something that I had always already experienced with, because it was quite technical with my background. So I knew the community as a technology evangelist. So everything was very aligned to me, and to do this type of gradual transition. But also my mentors, the PMs, and they, which were actually giving me those type of tasks, they were kind of opening about how needs to be done, like product discoveries, how need to work and actually expand from this. So for me, it was a very gradual transition, to be honest, which I'm very grateful. And I used my strengths actually at the beginning of this process to make sure that I'm successful with my tasks.
Amazing.
Got it. No, that's very interesting. I want to dive deeper into your product management experience in a bit, Peter, but I also want to give you a chance to educate our audience about what is technical evangelism or developer advocacy. I know, like you and I worked pretty closely when I was back at Progress Software, and you did some really cool stuff back then. So tell us more about technical evangelism.
So it's a quite amazing role, I think. Some people describe it. This is the person who goes to events and eat pizza, but basically, yeah, this person should be like a public face of a product and on the technical side. And usually, he's kind of a bridge between communities and people that are using, I mean, developers that are using the product with the product management and marketing. On this side, he's usually like preparing marketing materials or blogging constantly, creating samples, going to conferences, events. So he's presenting the product, he's giving tips and kind of where the product is going. He's showcasing a lot of stuff. So the responsibilities can vary. For example, I've been like even making trainings for developers, or being a judge on the MIT hackathon event. So I mean, you can there. I mean, there are no limitations. So people with good imagination can very well progress in such a role, because there are a lot of creativity there, and you need always to think how I can do something that other people can reuse and learn from me. So, I mean, I usually said it's a unique opportunity for people to do it, because you start talking about in front of people. Usually, like developers and stuff, they're more introverts, right? And for this type of role, actually opens you about, hey, I'm this person, I have this responsibility, I need to talk with people. So it's quite amazing experience to go to.
There's actually several interesting points in there. Like one, it allows you to get in touch with the community, stay very close to them, understand what they need, and create content that they care for, right? So you have to understand their voice pretty effectively. And number two, it also reminds me of like some of the recent waves that we are seeing around PLG. It's called product-led growth, and that involves making the product everything, including sales, support, marketing. Everything is done by the product. And as part of it, content like the ones that you're talking about, how do you make people aware of your product, create a product, create a blog or a video that's relevant to their current problem? And how do you enable them, create training videos that they can follow and help themselves along the way, instead of having support teams and sales teams and marketing teams? So definitely sounds pretty interesting. And moreover, developers being introverts, I mean, not to bucket them all into one bucket, but usually that's the case. So it gets you comfortable with the idea of like speaking with people, understanding their problems, putting your expertise out there and bridging the gaps in terms of your knowledge or in terms of the customer's knowledge. But that's a fantastic role. I would love to go on conferences and have freebies. That's what I'll be signing up for next.
So, and that fits so well, right, Nishan? Like Peter comes from a background which needed, to understand a technical persona, and right now he's working as a PM for something that needs to understand the technical persona needs. So I have seen a lot of folks who come from engineering background usually work for such businesses where the end consumer is someone who is technical. I think there is some bandwidth, that matches or resonates well.
Totally.
But I would love to know, what other due diligence that you did to understand a PM role better. You said that you had some mentors, you try to understand things from them. But like, any pointers for our audience around how to manage this transition, and what are the gotchas that they should look for to evaluate if they should enter the PM world or not?
Yeah, that's a really nice question, and I can maybe try to break it down on three things and how actually my experience helped me through the years, and what are the things, for example, that I used to, and what are the things that I understood. I think coming from technical background, one of the gotchas that, especially if you are, let's say, very technical and you decide to become a PM, one of the things that you need to understand from now on is that engineers and the engineering teams that you're working with, those are the people that are going to make the decision what will be the technical solution. You're no more the person who is going to make those decisions for them. So even that you're, let's say you're an amazing engineer, whatever, you shouldn't be like telling them what to do, right? They're smarter probably than you and they know what to do. So you need actually, you might challenge them, but you cannot point out the solutions, right? You need to find out the right problems, how to scale, how to serve the customers, and etc. But you shouldn't go and tell them what to do. That's something very important. You need to rely on their expertise. And I think that's quite sometimes people that are very engineered, they tend to go in this path and say, hey, why don't we do it this way or that way? So that's one part. For my experience as uh, technology evangelist, I think that everyone can learn, even if you're more introverted. You can learn how to speak in front of people. It's just practice, right? And I always think to the perspective, hey, there is something cool that is happening with our product, and I want to share with you. So, even every engineer, if you go and sit with them, they will start telling you stories, right, about how this works, go into details, etc. So, all of this, I think people with technical background, they shouldn't be afraid that they are going to have a lot of contacts with customers, or, speaking daily or presenting. They can do it, especially if they understand very complex engineering stuff. For them it will be easy to go a little bit higher up and summarize how this actually helps customers, how those things are going to work, what is the nature, what are the big mechanisms. So I think that's important for them. Speak in front of customers, don't be afraid, and that's a skill. I think people are not born like to be one way or another. Just start training it, and I think after this you just become more relaxed. And because you have the background, and if there are questions, of course there are questions that you cannot answer. And I'm going to a course where, for example, they ask me technical stuff that I'm no longer engineer, so I don't have the answer for them, right? So you need to bring the people that they have the knowledge and they are the experts there, and you need to bring them together. The final area that I think is very important to understand, for example, I was managing a team of 14 people, and it's about leadership. I think people need to understand that the PM role, it's a it's a position where you don't have any authority over engineering, UX, whatever teams that you're working. So you cannot tell them what to do. So if they want to tell you, hey, we're not going to work on this feature, what are you going to do? You need to actually to explain why this is important, why they need to work on this feature, what's the pain point of the customer, so they can relate to it. And then you can have them on your side and actually lead them to the solution, to actually create a big direction on the product, scale it, and do something that it's much bigger than the operational work that you need to do, let's say, on a daily basis. You need to show the data points that you rely on, show the data, show the interviews from where those conclusions are coming. Because usually technical people they are going to make you, your life miserable with questions, and that's what they need to do. They need to question everything that you're suggesting or you are proposing to them, and you need to actually have a good data and to make sure that you have very nice alignment. Because when from my experience, when all those kind of chains are very well aligned, like UX, engineering, marketing, support, and sales, everything goes smoothly because people know what to do. They trust each other, and during the time, with gaining some experience, you start actually leading them in a way all together.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree to all the points you stated, and more so on like you do not have the authority, but you drive the entire process through influence, and that's where you need to resonate well with all your stakeholders. Completely agreed on everything that we just talked about.
And I also like the fact that you called out the itch or urge to solution. You tend to get into the solutioning more coming from the developer world, and it's almost like a rabbit hole. Sometimes you get it right, and people expect you to be part of the solutioning, and you get it wrong, and then you're like, okay, what is this guy even doing, right? So either way, it's something that we want to coach the teams to be self-reliant on, and we are just facilitators bringing in the customer perspective, sales perspective, marketing perspective as to why something needs to be done.
Yeah, absolutely.
So moving on, I think this can be quick, but did you find anything surprising about the product management role, Peter? Like once you transition, like this was your dream, right? So you found all the different hoops to finally get there. But once you got in, anything that positively or negatively surprised you about the role?
I think one, or at least one of the takeaways that I have is that um, I was surprised. Maybe not the project that I'm currently working on, but I have seen this in other organizations where sometimes engineers, UX, and product are working in silos, which I think
Mm.
it's very common. For example, the product manager, he goes do interviews, hypotheses, whatever, and he comes with some data and says, "Hey, this is the problem. Let's try to bring the solution." And usually, those people are not involved. So for me, was to kind of try to do things by the book from the beginning. So any type of, if you Google just the product management books the top 10, just read them, try to follow them, especially product discovery phases, how you need to do it, how you need to test something. I think this will help a lot. And what I started doing first is I want to be very well aligned with engineering and UX and to bring them on a lot of calls with customers. So they can actually relate to the customer feedback and pain together with me to see that this is coming directly from customers. And actually, the deliveries become much smoother because everyone knows down the chain what was the problem, from where it originates, and what's the purpose, let's say, to scale the solution or just to try to find a solution for this specific client because of X, Y, and Z.
Starting from theory is sometimes good, right? Because now you don't know what is not possible. Because if I went to a mentor, they would say, okay, be realistic. Not everything in the book is good enough. So you have to get creative. But sometimes when you think, okay, this is the right way to do it, and you try to make it happen, I think you have an org that's much more holistic and understands the pain points to the core from their perspective, to your point. No, thanks for sharing that.
Yep, yep. So tell me, Peter, like, given that you have technical experience, like if you have to tell another person who's trying to enter into PM world, why do you think technical folks make good PMs?
Yeah, my advice would be always you can do it for sure. If this is your goal. For example, this was my goal to understand the whole development cycle, to understand more roles, and I'm quite confident that from my experience that people with technical background usually they tend to understand very complex problems and how to solve them. And when we're talking about PM, I think some of the solutions that PMs are making, including myself, they're not so complex at the end. They're very simple solutions, right? If you look at them, they'll say, yeah, that's very logical. Yeah, why we should go and do this way. So I think sometimes people with technical background, their thinking, their engineering mind helps them a lot to understand all of the possibilities of outcomes, right? And sometimes they just need to focus on the simple solution that will make sense and bring this. Just they don't need to over engineer it and try to think one level up. Sometimes not so in so much detail. So if you are able to summarize the problems and the solutions that you're doing, I'm quite confident that those people um, can convert their career to become product managers. For example, I have experience mentoring people internally. We have such program in our company, and they had experience with technical support, especially technical support in the software business. Usually those people are engineers as well. They resolve problems for customers from technical perspective. For example, that's a very nice fit for people to transition to PM. They know how to speak with customer. They can relate to their problems. They can actually really easy translate this on a much higher level and try to actually produce kind of direction of products and see the big picture of issues that are around and how they can solve them for a specific product. And after this, then they can dream more and drive roadmaps and do amazing things.
No, that completely makes sense. I mean, like, having that, bandwagon to understand the complex problem, but being able to like uplift yourself and think about solving those problems, I can truly resonate with that. Moving on to I guess, the last part of our conversation. Any last minute takeaways, Peter, that you want our audience to have for, someone who's trying to break into product management from a technical background or just thinking about product management? Any last minute takeaways?
Uh, I mean, you can do it. I mean, there are so many examples of this. Start reading books. I think, at least for me, it's very natural to start listening books. I use Audible and start listening to what people are doing. Start listening some best practices and try to find a way. Try to find a way in your company, or if it doesn't work in your company, I'm sure that there are multiple opportunities out there, and just don't give up. I mean, if it doesn't happen on the first time, maybe on the second, but if you have this goal, just chase it. Of course, you need to put a lot of work. Try to understand the problems on high level. Try to understand how you can uplift your product, and try to take the initiative. I think that's something important for those people. Take initiatives, because be proactive. This, I think, it's important, because if no one knows that you want to go to this role, how they can actually help you to move this role. And I mean, be vocal and start thinking about more globally about the product. Hey, we can do this not just to solve for one customer, but I have some ideas how we can resolve it for I don't know, 1,000 customers. This could scale. This solution could scale. Try to find data points always to back up your hypothesis. So I think those are the first steps that people can start doing, and I think step by step they will like it more and more, and they will want to be involved uh, in in more complexity of the PM role.
Yeah, lovely. And one last thing, like just a follow-up question. What is your favorite book on product management? Just for our viewers, right? For someone who's trying to get started.
I think Marty Keegan's books, I mean, are great. I think you can always find good stuff, but I think how he explains pro discoveries for me was very important.
Yep.
All
Cool.
right. Thanks so much, Peter. This was wonderful.